Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood Was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate in a fair and honest way. Hope you're having a wonderful Lord's Day. Let's start with showing the famous disclaimer. Satisfied. Oh, am I doing the thing right? Why did it just flash? Normally when I click on that, it would show it, but it didn't show it. But I think you saw it. Hola, Victoria. So I guess I want to show the pictures first. This will get you off to a good start. And I'm going to make sure I showed that. There it is. Quickly. The revolution about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy. That's what Mr. Lamar said at the halftime show for the Super Bowl. It was this line draws on Gil Scott-Heron's iconic jazz and soul-infused spoken poetry track. The revolution will not be televised. About to be televised. The largest party ever, they said, at the Super Bowl. Now, here's something that said Austin returned to Louisiana to recruit settlers. He offered 12 cents an acre, 10% of what comparable acreage sold in the United States. These settlers were going to Mexico. They had to satisfy 4 regulations. One, they had to be Roman Catholic. Thanks, Wikipedia, for leaving out Roman, because this would normally mean they had to be Universalist, whatever that would have meant. Good character, cultivate the land within 2 years. There's slavery down here. They found out in 1822, Mexico was all about equal rights for all races and opposed to slavery. Well, the famous Texan wasn't going to deal with that. Just who's happy? Who's happy? Who's happy in America? For these guys that like to show skin. Look at my daughters showing skin. Not plagiarizing. We're a very happy family. A happy family. Accused of copyright, cinematography, plagiarism at the Sundance Festival. You think she got into school or got a job because of her name? Name. They call me Stacy. Malia Obama accused of plagiarism after directing ad for Nike, shockingly similar to filmmaker's Sundance film. This is from today. And I guess this is where they're like, I would like to do a show. It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm wide awake, slept like a baby. I didn't know it would take this long. How could it be possible for any individual with his or her infinite emotions and experiences to be condensed to one single quality to tolerate for the rest of their lives and to choose at the mere age of 16? Well, back in 2011, when this was a review for the book Divergent, the basis of the social structure in Divergent is that each faction fulfills a role in society. This book's was the most popular book in the world. Maybe. I don't think so. But anyway, this University of Wisconsin Whitewater student newspaper, Royal Purple News, Abriel Backhouse wrote, it just didn't seem, the entire system seems insustainable, allowing people to choose their own destiny and the rest of their lives at the age of 16. Yet it was a big deal. It was a big deal. Was I sharing that? Did you see all that? Hopefully that wasn't a blank screen. I see, where is the real Nazareth and Bethlehem? Well, since they're close to Jerusalem, that was in the Bible, and it's buried under the Sahara because, well, or a desert somewhere, because wherever the real Jerusalem is, it will never be discovered until it is revealed in heaven of, oh, there it was. It's one of those things. It will never be known where the real one is. Gracias. Now we're going to keep rolling here. We're going to be working in reverse of how did I come up with this crazy title? Why dystopian? Where is the divergent? They know we know. So what? So what? We looked at all of the thing. Now here's that Kendrick Lamar. The revolution about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy. Who knew this guy was so popular? The new Renaissance. Huh. The new Renaissance. Their new wisdom. This revolution was televised by Ezrika Bennett. During the Renaissance, artists used their platform to convey poignant, politically charged messages. Super Bowl halftime show this February 15. Form served as a force of change, was not found in stone. Well, that could be a metaphor. Everything a metaphor. Sipping coffee is a way to get magnesium. Football teams. The buzz surrounding the performance was undeniable. He won 5 of those Grammy Awards. Not like us. That's a lot of views. Sheer brilliant. It was a statement. This is the game black people must play. Samuel L. Jackson, dressed as the famous Uncle Sam, whacked out murals. Whack it out? Is that wicked out? I'm just saying everything's weird, man. So I searched New Grace, the televised revolution, because that was a dystopian novel written by Do Re Mi in 2008. I guess because the craze was starting and I had some free time and I wanted to write a book. I knew our business was shutting down, even though my boss didn't believe it. So I thought I'd write a book. Maybe somebody would want to see it. That is why everyone is smart, very attractive, and genetically fit. So how do a television star, his rich father, along with an up-and-coming rock and roll band, save the struggling country? I wrote this book. Do Re Mi. That was before I was Saul Paco. I didn't even know that the earth was flat. I knew it wasn't spinning. I learned that in 1995. Dr. Loos, Loos, I think. Geocentricity, 184 pages, huh? The far left for years has been wishing that humans would stop hurting the earth. Some have even dreamed and longed for a way to get rid of most humans on our planet. Maybe that was a big deal when you woke up this morning, but that was an original thought in 2008 when I went on to write, well, what if that was true? And there was a people who had no past. All they know is that possibly a virus killed over 99.7% of the people alive at the end of the 21st century. The book is fast-paced in character. See, they're coming out of caves and people are presenting, like, oh, we just invented the TV. Look at that. They went from Model Ts to helicopters in 30 years, exactly like we did. It's our history talking about what the virus, and I didn't even realize that after 2014, I was all about, they're going to be killing us with viruses. Yeah, I wrote that book. And it's about what became, and I guess proper use of the word, evolved into Flat Earth Nation Golden Age Past. And the rest is history. It's an exciting book. I was contemplating reading it again because I had read it before for that channel. The earth shaking, ground quaking, Flat Earth Nation Golden Age Past. It's where the stones cried out, and we realized that we are living stones, and the stones could have cried out during the triumphal entry because they're reserved in judgment. And if all of the prophecies weren't fulfilled, they would have cried out and said, what? Hey, we're not judged because not all the prophecies have been fulfilled by a sinless, spotless lamb. That's a metaphor. You know that. Oh, you knew that. Well, I know you knew that. Am I logged in? Oh, I don't want to log in front of everybody, but that's my book. I'm going to read part of it. One could argue that all this was beside the point. No central government had ever had enough influence in faraway Texas to enforce its laws, and Mexico would prove no different. Few, if any, of Austin's colonists were Catholic, but they had no problem lying. They're Freemasons, Jesuits, sponsored Freemasons. Teach them to lie, go there and say, well, I'm Protestant. For instance, no one did a thing about it, but Austin's lobbying efforts were less about reality on the ground than his own advertising. He needed cotton growers. Cotton growers back then had money and they invested in slaves. So he told the Mexicans, we're only going to do it for a couple of years and then we're going to take you over. But by that time, Americans hungry for cotton land streamed to Texas, not Roman Catholic, but willing to raise their hand and swear to God they were. Another 39 families had arrived when he got back. Austin distributed almost all of his 300 land titles because he was an impresario and he was allowed to grant land grants for Mexico because he lied and they lied, and it was how modern Texas got. Well, you know the whole history. I taught it when I lived in West Columbia. Remember after Tommy couldn't give up, Tommy couldn't be a man, a Christian man, a leader. He couldn't run his family at all. So I had to get out of there, and it was weird, and I ended up in West Columbia, Texas. The 300 families in Texas is akin to New Englanders tracing their route to the Mayflower. But don't talk Texas no more because doggone it, we're tired of keeping Austin weird. 1825, they moved to Texas. Half the people, a quarter of the people were slaves. Somebody had to do the work. It's forget the Alamo, man. It's all about jive talking, man. They made it this way. The old 300, somebody ended up with 3 people that wanted to be anonymous, purchased 307 parcels from Stephen Fuller Austin in Mexican Texas. That's before West Columbia became the first capital, and they could physically go take over the mud flood buildings in what became the new capital. 433. So it was all about the slaves. What do we got here? Brazilia, Austin colony, colonial Texas. We're our own republic. We only had to fake pretend being Roman Catholics, lie, cheat, and steal, use the slaves, lie, cheat, and steal. That's our deal. Where was I? Where was I? Right down here, I think. Here's the Brazos State River. So follow the river up. They don't even show our town yet. Where's the mud flood buildings? The historic 300. Schweringen. I wonder if this guy ended up going to, or one of his children going to North Dakota or South Dakota, where, the Black Hills of Dakota, there was a Schweringen that was a real piece of work, tricking people into coming there and then making them be prostitutes and stuff like that. Anyway, that sounds like a rabbit trail. Site of Woods Fort. All right. Well, there they are. These guys did it. And I ended up here in West Columbia, Texas. You were all there with me. And I did not know that it was established by Josiah Hughes Bell. Because I know that, this girl, Josiah Hughes Bell, was a Nee Hughes. That's how they got in there. So there we were. I was a little bit further up than where I thought it was. You remember, I think I showed, what's that? Charlie Brown, a black man who loaned money, but then later on, under the new laws, you're still just a black guy, even though he owned approximately 3,000 acres, including much of the land in West Columbia. Married a former slave from the Dance Plantation. When he died at his home in 1920, he owned several counties' first cotton gin, businesses, grist mill, sugar. It just seems weird that there's always a boule. I'm going to have to say, I guess this guy was a black Freemason. Everybody else was enslaved, but he did it. Now, this is right across the street. You used to see me walk my dog there. That's the library. It's right across the street from me. That's not. There's the old theater. That used to be a racquetball. And it's just a torn down, old worn out town, man. But that's where people started to say it was the first capital of the Republic of Texas. Look at that. Briefly, when a Hughes did it, got somehow in a Bell. I would imagine the Bell curve and Alexander Graham Bell. I don't think they way too far out of their familiar batting lineup of like, here's your new stars. So yeah, it was the capital of a country, a republic. What? Okay. So I looked up China Grove, Texas, and this zip code. China Grove, Texas. Bexar County. That's not the one. It's mentioned in the 1973 song talking about the China Grove. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh. When the sun comes up on a sleepy little town down around San Antonio, he's talking about China Grove. 12 miles east of downtown San Antonio. I guess you could call that a little while, China Grove, Texas. But we're looking for, this article is about the San Antonio. The China Grove Brazoria, I don't know. We want to know about it's about the song, China Grove, 12 miles. It was a plantation. Well, where did I read it was a plantation? Densely populated 303. I got to speed read this right now. Said he heard about China Grove on a way to play a concert in San Antonio. Probably named after a grove of Chinaberry trees. So I think I had to look up this guy. This is oh man. Okay, let's look at this one, see if we can get anything here. Wait. Well, here's the county it was in. 16th most populous city. Houston is the second most populous city in the Baxter was created almost entirely western portion of the Republic of Texas, Spanish province. Of course, the Native Americans there, all those buildings were there. This is their messed up rewritten history where the 300 had to get permission. Now, I read and I thought I had those doggone pictures about Brazoria. Didn't it mention it? Good characters, land grants. I wonder if I just stopped showing pictures after that. Yeah, well, we're going to keep rolling. Trust me, the interesting things about Colombia and that is it was a plantation and weird things were happening. China Grove, Texas. Well, this is it. This is the one down where I was around Angleton, named for a plantation constructed by this guy. Well, that took long enough. That was painful enough. Grew figs and oranges. It's all a fake. But I knew it was started by as a plantation. 2 schools, one for black. There was 87 in 1896. 108 with 2 teachers in 1906. It had 7 white students and 1 teacher. All right. Well, I'm glad we got that settled. How to do a wrestling move. I guess I was bored. Okay, so Special Agent Jose Irizarry, he's sentenced to prison for money laundering in 2020. That's all we need to know about this guy. I looked him up from here because here he was hired by the United States as a drug enforcement agent despite failing a polygraph. So 11 years later, he's going to jail with his wife. They think he was bilingual, and, in 2011, yeah, let's get going. Let's do it. He's going to jail. Him and his wife got sentenced to jail. Wait, I heard about it because this guy, an alleged smuggler in Colombia, had a secret ally. Oh, so it goes much deeper. This is also from yesterday. Diego Marins, he's the ultimate survivor. He lasted a long time down there in that Cali cartel because he had friends in the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. So he figured you lay low, you do it right, and then boom. Did you know that Pablo Escobar's family all moved to the United States like 2 years ago, and all of that Murtra Otha order of silence, they're rolling over, and he got freedom for 17 people that were in his drug cartel family. Amazing. So she did all she did. Remember that picture from the Purple Scholar? Here's that book review. That girl that wrote it. Divergent is found a favored place on my list of good reads. Read 500 pages in only a few hours. Well, that's getting it done. American novelist Veronica Roth. I'm going to say that sounds like a Jewish name because I knew a Dr. Roth, and he was the only Jewish person in Grundy County, I think, except his wife. And I wonder if they had kids. Well, maybe they did. Wrote, has been compared to the Hunger Games and Maze Runner because Dystopian's novels all came popular in like I would say 2008 when I was starting to write mine because I saw it came in. So there's a couple of girls, that dairy fruit, but mostly it's the Royal Purple and from Whitewater that talks about quoting her thing here in the Royal Purple, explaining that in a future version of Chicago, after freeing itself from the threshold of apocalypse, society has split into 5 factions that endorse and live by a single core value. The Hunger Games that you talked about, this one doesn't. Maybe this is only for the elite. You heard the way I said elite? I don't know where that came from. That's how I like to use my voice to be like, to make fun of them because they think they're elite. But while admitting that we're all equal, dystopian novel full of action, bravery. Anyway, where's that thing, that quote about the 16-year-old? Through the brutal initiation, Beatrice finds out not only what she's made of, but what it truly means to be a divergent. Founded on 5 character traits, the entire system seems insubstantial. That's not a real word as far as I know. That's a single time I've ever heard it used. Means not enough or not strong enough. Cambridge University of Press has it. I think that maybe this girl must have went to school there or something. Lacking strength, insubstantial. Well, I guess you just throw it in front of it, like indigenous. How could it be possible for any individual with his family or her infinite emotions and experiences to be condensed into a single quality to tolerate for the rest of their lives and to choose at the mere age of 16? When I read that, I thought, imagine if she made that argument 2 years ago about the DEI saying, well, I want to go to school here, but you guys teach that a child can choose its own sex, and that's science. That's good enough. That's science. And if we don't agree, then we've got the problem. That's been proven wrong. It never should have been considered. The Bible considers your gay sex thing an abomination. It kills society. And I think our society proves it. And that's why we're being judged. But the mere age of 16, yeah, but you could do it much younger. You could choose at 5 years old, at 11 years old. You can be talked into getting hormones. And I'm not a doctor. I gave the disclaimer. I am a religious teacher of the Bible. The Bible teaches that anything that it does not approve of and calls an abomination, we're obligated to believe it's an abomination. It's not good. You can't color it good. It's wrong. I don't care if it's your son or daughter, but the church judges them harshly. Yeah, they call them abomination. She's divergent and is able to decide what faction she will spend the rest of her life in. The others are born into it. If your mom and dad are one of their 5 factions, you're that. But if you're divergent and can prove it, anyway, boy, Veronica Roth kept her story entertaining, you know. Did I look up Veronica Roth? I might be stepping out here now. Veronica Roth, Jewish girl, novelist, short story, sold more than 35 million copies worldwide, but it's been overshadowed by the other ones because hers is for the rich people. Born to wealthy rich people, I would imagine, in New York City. Well, she was raised in Barrington, Illinois. I raised my children about the same time. She's a little bit younger, but we played volleyball against these guys and stuff. We're from Lake Zurich. They're from Barrington. Barrington is richer. It's one of the richest towns in the world. And, that's why, I live close to it, but I couldn't really live in it, not raise 4 children. Parents divorced when she was 5, married Frank Ross, a financial consultant for landscaping companies. That's good. Both Jewish people of Polish descent, I'm sure. He was always, they learned about Christianity, turning a Christian Bible study. So now where'd that Roth, the name is, wow, I couldn't have been crazy more wrong, huh? Are they Christians? Huh. Stayed with it. I wonder if it was Willow Creek. Willow Creek and Harvest both started right there in the same area, a couple miles from where the Jesuits and the John Birch Society started, where I worked, the world's largest Christian homeschool supply company, Christian Liberty Academy satellite system, Christian Liberty Press, Church of Christian Liberty. We knew these guys. We hung out with them. I didn't know her specifically, but she got hey, I'm going to go to college, and transferred to Northwestern, private Minnesota college. Okay. All mud floody, I'm sure. She wrote her first book while she was on a winter break. That's about 2 weeks of her senior year at Northwestern. This is where they supposedly faked the atomic bomb. She got it published by the end of her senior year. She got her senior year, found an agent by the following March. Her career rapidly took off, publishing rights for a movie, or no, publishing rights sold before she graduated from college in 2010. Film rights sold a year later, and it, boom, the rest is history. 35 million copies worldwide, 2 novels, 5 million in 2013 alone, just as the film based on the novel was wrapping up. Summoning the Divergent. Does these pants make my butt look fat? I'm not looking at your butt. Yeah, they were. It's what it's all about. Transfer the list. I don't got time to get into what this movie is about. I barely remember it. I remember it was in Chicago and they were jumping on and off of trains. She wrote it while she was in college. I believe she was destined to be famous. Yeah, she keeps it entertaining. Danger, love, betrayal. What's not to love? You write it in a couple of weeks while you're on break. You come back and everybody goes, let's publish it. Let's sell it. Who's this? She's a young adult fiction writer also. Her novel Matched was a #1. Is it dystopic? Oh, you better believe it is. It was right there. It won the best teen list thing there that year. Well, I wonder if it was beating out the Divergent. She's from Utah. I just wanted to, who else was competing in book writing? Well, she, just as Miss Roth was, this was young adult literature for children's literature. The Deseret Book Company, doesn't that just say it's Salt Lake City? It's Mormon. Deseret used to be the name of when they wanted Deseret to be their own country, encompassing most of, all of Utah, a lot of California, Arizona, Colorado. It was big. So they're the ones that are getting published, and they're preparing for the end. They're all about that survival. How are you going to survive? Well, I'm going to cut down to eating only 3 Snickers bars a week. That away. Good job, Ali Condi. I think you're a Latter-day Saints stool. So the book is the first of a trilogy, dystopian, young adult, tightly controlled society in which young people are matched with their life partner at age 17. Oh boy. Never read it, probably won't, but it's one of those things. The factions in Divergence, the ones that the Purple Review gave, kind of, it's just unbelievable, but so intriguing. They have the brave, they're called dauntless, the kind, amity, erudite are the intelligence, abnegation, selfless, candor, honest. On an appointed day every year, 16-year-olds select the faction to which they will devote the rest of their lives after they take a placement test. Oh, they still do that. Veronica Roth, she looks like somebody from the Hunger Games. She looks like she could be a movie star. Described the factions in her Christian understanding, and she's still living it when she was doing world building classes at Northwestern University. And then during the winter break, she said that was so good. I'm going to write a book. Oh, well, that's it? Oh, and here it famous once again, the reviews from the purple pun prognosticators. I know that's not it. Purple scholars. So here's what I might have had this set up here. Each faction fulfills a role in society. Those who cannot contribute to society are cast out and become factionless and are deprived of access to an identity and resources. Yikes, that doesn't sound any fun. Purple, royal purple news. Do you know The Giver is pretty new? That I thought it was older than that. What'd she write? ISIS trilogy. That figures. Of course, that'd be popular. They got to talk about that. I'm an ISIS loving. I really think that if you do listen to my novel, as a novel, it's not about this is how they did the flat earth. I didn't even know the earth was flat in 2008. But I did know over the world. This is the first of a trilogy, apocalyptic version of Chicago. I was in Chicago and I wrote about apocalyptic thing happening in the mountains. Film locations, not important. So here's a, now watch what a young man learns how to do some wrestling. These guys aren't going to hurt each other, but to do wrestling, you can't just react. You have to know what you're going to do and do it. I just thought this was because this is the Denny Hastert. Somebody showed Denny Hastert, the pervert that became the third in line to be president of the United States under George Bush. He wrestled at Yorkville, and this was his thing. And it was a jujitsu move, yet he was teaching it to his wrestlers in the 70s because it works. It's unpopular. Always choose down. Go. Hit that Granby. Boom, you're free. You can't stop that. You can't touch it. Here's a book called The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. She lived in the town where the Sandy Hook massacre was. The Sandy Hook massacre about a dystopian crazy person. She wrote that book. So these are the books from 2008. Hunger Games came out. Wow. Oh boy. I never heard of any of these other ones. Huh. Now, here's somebody, I pulled this up. We're working backwards, how I got to where I got to, where I started, what it's all about, where I wrote down the title and said, let's go. Yun Paul. I mean, why would they show you how to French pronunciation? Caspar was a French explorer, novelist, and travel writer. Many of his books are about historical figures, but his most well-known book is controversial. It's called The Camp of the Saints. It's called The Camp of the Saints. Which is about a mass third world immigration to Europe. Third world immigration to Europe. It's a book about where did all the white people go? Not only the white, where's the white people? Predicts in 1973, the collapse of Western civilization from an overwhelming tidal wave of third world countries and colonies that arose during the Cold War. Immigration. They're coming to your town. Third world. Okay. I guess South America wasn't considered third world. Only parts of Africa were. The other parts unknown. I'm glad. What are the? We're third world? That can't be right. Who's third world here? First world nations. Okay. Look at all that. Second world. Mexico, you've been demoted to third world. Wow. In 1973, I guess. Strictly speaking, third world was a political rather than an economic grouping. Well, thanks. Appreciate that. Glad they have an economic core in the third world. Okay, so he wrote that, let's see, not much really about him here. I think let's look at the book. Speculative fiction, 40 years after its initial publication, it returned to the bestseller list in 2011. Must have been in France, I guess. I didn't hear about it. Conveying racist themes, xenophobia, nativism, monoculturism, anti-immigration. Very popular within the far right and white nationalist circles. Huh. Wow. The name of the book comes from Book of Revelation, depicting not the apocalypse. See, that's where they're wrong, because nobody knew what you know. I think they know now because we had to tell them. I had to tell them. You had to let them know. It's because it's, once you read the Bible correctly, there is no other way to go. And it does include flat earth. People back then, they weren't judged. I think they were still saved, and they met that group of apostles, and they were still saved, and they were preaching, repentance and grace. But they were preaching John the Baptist. When they heard about Jesus, they said, I'm in, let's do it. Now I get it even more. That's where we are. Once you're shown more and you say, no, I don't want more. I do want more, but the people that claim to love me won't allow me to talk about it. Or you're shunned. Who knows what they say about you when you're not around? Calcutta, Catholic priests promote the adoption of Indian children by those back in Belgium as a form of charity. This is the book, Camp of the Saints. We know enough about it already. The westernized Indian world is what they want. It excludes the rest of the world from possibly being considered at their level. That's not what evolution teaches. That's not what their God teaches. The white West has been overrun by pro-immigrant governments who only want their people to find jobs and don't care if, well, this is where the white people live. Camp of the Saints. There it is. So I found out about this book, and they're like, that sounds like, remember we're working in going back. How did I get to the title? Best dystopian books of 2010. Well, only one. And of course, it's the person, you can't do without. Probably the only ones before that were Jules Verne, H.G. Wells, the only ones that they want you to believe. Well, these guys been knowing about going to the moon forever. How many in the 30s? Oh, okay. Brave New World. You're gonna, yeah, correct. I guess in 1940s, here's these, the best dystopian books. It's probably either going to be Animal Farm or 1984. What was Animal Farm? Maybe that was in the 50s. It doesn't get mentioned. Must be that whole some pigs are more equal than others. So the Man in the High Castle, that's very famous for a lot of people in the flat earth movement of what would happen, what would it be like. The 70s, any dystopian? House of Stairs, Camp of the Saints. So I heard about that and I went, what? I gotta look that up. Because I was trying to figure out, I know I wrote my dystopic novel in 2008. So The Handmaid's Tale, of course I've heard of that. I haven't heard of The Mockingbird. That's not a good title. When the Tripods Came. It's getting a little more edgy, right? 1990s. What? The Giver. Wow. This Other Eden, never heard of it, but intriguing title. Savage Amusement, a Judge Dredd. Okay, that's where Judge Dredd came from, huh? I get it. Best of the, there are a lot more here. The Boneyard. That sounds scary. So they are, although we haven't heard of them, another Judge Dredd. Children of Men. Now, oh my goodness, that's where something has happened to the food and the water. And they can't have children anymore. It was made into a movie. I went to see it. Mass infertility. They're shoving it down your throat. A lot more books in the 90s and 2000. Only the Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Year of the Flood, The Road. Oh, that's scary, I heard. Genesis, Oryx Crake, Maze Runner, Uglies, Jennifer Government. Now that's an interesting name. Life as We Knew It, they're very interesting. Pretty Specials, Gathering Blue, Hunger. Okay, this is a long one. Somebody after 2001, 9/11, it's all of a sudden, prepare the world for the double cross. Yeah. So I think that's when I'm there like, yeah, it's time to write a dystopian novel. So I did. I'm going to read it too. Always with the Judge Dredd, robot-like judge, jury, executioners. Well, there can't be that many more. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. I'm sure a lot of people heard of this and they're reading about it. There's no slowing down. Oh, there's the Hunger Games. And Divergent came back out. Okay. Yeah, they made the movies. They don't talk about Divergent too much anymore. Tons of them. Insurgent Divergent. She's making money. I'd be like, maybe it's not an insult to say I thought she was Jewish. If you think it is, maybe you got the problem. Hostile takeover, yeah, okay. They want you to fight back. Primal Hunter is big right now. I saw it. I saw Hunger Games one. But Maze Runners are going to be on here. All right. It's just simply young adult fiction. Really? Mockingjay? These things where the people, young adults, are hunting each other to death is what you like to call young adult fiction. I mean, is that programming them more than here's your globe, here's your Twinkie, here's your dystopic future? Divergent, and these don't come off as, these are PG-13. Article 5. So it does seem they focused on the young adults. Here's the bookshelf in 2014. I was just getting warmed up and going like Scorched Trials, Maze Runner. Okay, well, that's getting it done. Somebody's making that money. Look at James Phelan. He's getting it. He's making. There's that Ali Condi again. You know what she like? Oh, that's probably from the Match series, the Deseret. The Mormons are going to make money. They don't care if they have to have girls write books like Matched and Reached or sell pornography at their motels, the Hiltons and stuff like that. That they make a fortune. They don't care. Guess not hard to tell what I was looking for there. Just might want to spell it right the first time. Revelation 6. He opened the fifth seal. I saw under the altar souls of those who had been slain for the word of God and the witness they had borne. And people want to say that these people that were the martyrs are going to live and reign on earth in a Jerusalem. But in the scripture, in chapter 6, when there's a couple of different continuous, one prophecy really, but the revelation explains it in steps. And he's talking about these people that, when will you avenge our blood? They're crawling it out from under the throne, and they're being told, wait a little while longer until the number of your fellow servants and their brothers should be complete, who were to be killed as they themselves. Revelation 20. All right. These people, I saw the souls of them that had been beheaded for the testimony of Jesus and for the word of God, and those who had not worshiped the beast or its image and had not received its mark. They came to life. They were alive. They were conscious enough to be able to go, did you see how they burned me alive? What vengeance, or whatever, however that would go down. So, and the Lord is saying to them, right there in heaven, under the thrones, there's still some more martyrs. We've got to get every lost sheep then, and he's going to do the same thing now. Maybe not this morning. So I guess this was I woke up and I only been working on this. This is my algorithm. This shows me what they think I need to watch. Hillary's tweet slamming Trump. Oh boy, it backfired. Oh no. Look at that customs house. Music is being weaponized. Wow, that's like 50 years old. But thanks for the heads up on that. Oh no. I've never watched one of those Abbott and Costello movies. I don't like it. So that's going to wrap it up. Oops. Hey, hey, is there confusion here? Yeah, there is. Like I keep now about now. Well, thank you.